In tremendous news today, everyone, Uganda has banned social media. Biggest news in the world. President Yosef Yoweri Museveni, who has been Ugandan president for the last 30 years, shut down social media in Uganda. Reason given is that this is a security measure to avert lies that are intended to incite violence and illegal declaration of election results. Why would the social media companies, promote lies and intended to incite violence and illegal declaration of election results? I thought that's exactly what they're against, which is the reason why they banned the U.S. president. And before we jump into that, though, did you know that Yoweri Museveni, Mr. Museveni, has been Ugandan president for 34 years and 352 days? That is nearly 35 years. And it puts him number 6 on the list of current longest ruling non-royal national leaders, which is a real mouthful. But basically, he's held the same job for a really, really long time, with only a few other people, 5 other people ahead of him. So Mr. Museveni is not used to having his authority challenged. And just what kind of problems have Ugandans been facing with social media? Well, I have a little bit of a sample here. Mr. Samuel B. Baker, he is an investigative journalist for an organization called M28 Investigates. He posted a video of military trucks rolling through a place in Uganda. I don't know where it is, unfortunately. And he's trying to promote this video and telling everyone, please retweet it. I will follow you back, and I will, amplify your message. And Mr. Baker, though, had some problem with Twitter. His account, one of his accounts, Baker Reports, was temporarily restricted over what was called a technical issue, resulting, because of a failure to verify his phone number. He said he tried to contact Twitter to support to no avail. And that's strange. I think it has been announced by Twitter that they are clamping down on fake accounts recently, and this must have been caught up in that. And it's not difficult to imagine that the Ugandan president felt that he was the subject of a crackdown and reacted accordingly. Here we have someone called Ruakakamba Morrison. I actually got that the first time around. He's a supporter of President Museveni, and he tweets, "What algorithm did Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram use to disable accounts in Uganda? Why now? Whereas I approve action on Trump, I still believe power of tech companies need to be mediated by independent authorities." So I think he means while I approve the action on Trump, I believe that the power of tech companies need to be mediated by independent authorities. Where can those whose accounts are affected appeal? Justice. So Mr. Morrison is extremely unhappy that accounts are being disabled in Uganda. And that's clearly affecting the election proceedings. So much so that, he and others like him have been complaining about this. And so much so that the Ugandan president feels it necessary to ban the social media accounts and make statements like the following. The president warns that if the social media channels like Facebook and Twitter are not being friendly and equitable to some of the Ugandans, then there is no reason as to why we should have them operate here. That is a very serious charge. So I looked up on it, and it appears that Facebook and Twitter have been shutting down accounts that they deem to be bot accounts, manipulated accounts, like somebody who has one person managing multiple accounts in order to pretend to promote certain messaging. So you might have a bot farm. In Malaysia, we call them the cyber troopers. So you'll have people who upvote all their party or all their their bosses' accounts and posts. So Uganda President Museveni was not standing for that at all. And so what has Twitter have to say about this, unprecedented action by the Ugandan president? Well, they have something to say. They say here, ahead of the Ugandan election, we're hearing reports that internet service providers are being ordered to block social media and messaging apps. We strongly condemn internet shutdowns. They're hugely harmful, violate basic human rights and the principles of the open internet. Earlier this week, in close coordination with our peers, we suspended a number of accounts targeting the election in Uganda. If we can attribute any of this activity to state-backed actors, we will disclose to our archive of information operations. Access to information and freedom of expression, including the public conversation on Twitter, is never more important than during democratic processes, particularly elections. Hashtag Uganda Decides 2021. Hashtag keep it on. So Twitter public policy strongly condemns, the actions of the Ugandan president to shut down the internet, which violates basic human rights and the principle of the open internet. See, access to information is never more important than during democratic processes, particularly elections, right? And when I read this, I think, that seems to remind me, that seems to remind me of something that I can't quite recall, but I'm sure it'll come to me eventually. It has something to do with some elections that went on recently and some banning that went on. Anyway, so this is a pretty big deal. I think everybody can see that, and Uganda is just the first, which of many, I'm sure, first of many countries in I'm absolutely certain, and that will have something to say about social media companies' policies on speech, content that they allow. So they have already banned the sitting US president, and they have impacted elections in Uganda, so much so that the Ugandan president is calling it, what do you call it? He called it, he's not being friendly and equitable to Ugandans. So he feels that it's not being treated fairly. And I'm sure that this will only increase. And as we move past the situation, everyone is in with the disease, countries will slowly go back to normal and they will resume their, democratic processes, selecting their leaders. And for sure, they will then encounter these particular kinds of issues with the social media companies. We are seeing the start of a great deal of friction, a lot of challenge between social media companies and their users and the countries that they operate in. Stay tuned for more. I think we will have a lot more of these kind of things to observe and to comment about. In the meantime, if you feel that this has, while you're thinking about this issue, while it's, stewing in your brain, just reach your finger down to click that like button and also the subscribe button, so that as new material arises for you to consider amidst the changes in the world, I will be there with my content so that you can see it first. All right. Thank you very much for listening. You've been terrific. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.